What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole and I'm a recovering addict. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015, and this is our fourth installment on our new series here, Recovery Week, where we do 7 speakers, 7 days at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's right, 7 guest speakers, 7 days, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight we have Joe coming on to share his story, and he'll be on at exactly 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock his time. But I wanted to come on early, you guys, because I have some announcements to make. I have some good news. So while you guys come on in, take a seat, greet your neighbor, drop your sobriety date. Let me know how you're doing today and how you're doing on your recovery today. Let me know, are you staying sober? Are you struggling? Are you feeling some type of way? Are you having a good day? I want to know how you guys are doing. Please let me know. And I'm going to tell you guys how I'm doing because I have some really good news to tell y'all. Let me go ahead and share the live stream out so that way everybody who needs to see it can come hang out with us. Hey Sam, hey Misty, what's up you guys? I'm so glad to see you guys here. So okay, so I guess I'll wait for everybody to get here before I tell y'all the announcement. Okay. Hey Barb, how you doing, Barb? I hope you're doing okay. Hey Lisa, you're gonna be so proud of me, girl. Y'all come on in, get a seat, come on in. Everybody come on in. Anybody that's watching from YouTube, just know that I cannot see your comments. From Facebook. So don't think I'm trying to ignore you. I just can't see the comments on Facebook. So if you want me to be able to see your comments, come over here to YouTube. In fact, hey, Misfit Nation. I see. So let me shout everybody out. Okay, here we go. What's up, Misty? What's up, Sam? What's up, Barb? What's up, Misfit Nation? I hope you guys are all having a great day today. We've been doing the damn thing here on Real Talk Recovery. What's up, Jay? I see you. In fact, let me let everybody know. Hey, Avalon, I see you too, girl. I see you over here on the Facebook. So I have an announcement to make. Are y'all ready? Are you ready? I went down and I joined the CrossFit gym, y'all. I joined the CrossFit gym. I start Tuesday at 1 p.m. with my trainer. And I have to tell you guys, I went in today and I was talking to the owner of the gym. His name is Jeff. Jeff, if you see this, thank you so much for being so kind to me and helping me get signed up and everything and taking all my money. He took my money, that's right. But I finally made the decision, you guys, and it has been so hard for me to get on the right path with my eating and my workouts, and I've been struggling. And so, Nick is a very, very close friend of mine, and he told me about CrossFit and how much it's changed his life and how it's helped him in his sobriety also. And so I said, you know what the hell? I'll try it. It's worth it. It's worth it if it helps me feel better about myself. And I already feel so great about being sober. I know it's going to make me feel better, getting in shape. And so I've already started half the battle because I've been working out with Nick. And I'll tell you, the first day I worked out with Nick, you guys, the first week, I couldn't walk. Okay. And now I can bust out squats and burpees and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, I have come so far just in my strength and my overall, like, my capability of doing the exercises, because for the longest, the first week or two, I was struggling. I could barely get up off. I could not get up, you guys. It was bad. So now I will start training with a guy Tuesday at 1, and I'm gonna have my own personal trainer, y'all. So shit's going down. Y'all know I'm gonna be coming. Just give me 3 months and y'all ain't gonna know what to do. All the people who ever told me, that made fun of me for my weight, that gave me shit, I'm gonna show y'all. But anyway, I'm really excited about it. I'm nervous. It took so much courage to go in there, you guys, and to like sign up for those classes, because, you know, I don't know if any of you guys have ever walked into a gym, but, you know, there's all these people in there that are in shape and they've got muscles and they look good. And you're like, ooh. So I was like really nervous. I was shaking. And they made me feel so comfortable and so at home. So if you're in Little Rock and you want to do CrossFit with me, it's West Little Rock CrossFit. So West Little Rock CrossFit, I would love to see you guys come and do it with me. So anyways, that's going to start Tuesday at 1. And I'm really nervous. So everybody, I hope you guys enjoy tonight's speaker. I met Joe from my YouTube channel, and he just started like really commenting a lot on the videos recently, and he got right in the middle. He joined Patreon and he's in our inner circle with us, and so he's a super great guy. I'm really excited for you guys to hear his story. So I see everybody over there on Facebook, and then I see everybody over here on YouTube. Let me say hi to everybody. Okay, hold on just a second, guys. Okay, I see Fade Factor. What's up, Corrales? What's up? I see you in the building. I see Lisa. I see Avalon from Natural Addiction Recovery. Shout out to Avalon. If any of you guys are utilizing Kratom as a form of maintenance for your recovery, Avalon has a really awesome channel called Natural Addiction Recovery. So you should check her out. What's up? Your favorite PO. I see you, girl. I see you. She also has a channel, you guys, all about being a probation officer. So if you're a felon and you're on probation and you need some tips and tricks on how to act right, you got to check her channel out, Your Favorite PO. Or if you just want to watch her because she's so beautiful. There's Sky. I see you, Sky. Thanks for being here, girl. Hey, Esther. I see you too, honey. Hey, Brandon, I see you too, hun. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here, you guys. So this is our 4th day on our recovery week. So after this, we got 3 days left. Every speaker has came and showed up and shared their story, which I was really nervous on whether or not people were going to actually come and not stand me up. And so I'm so excited that everybody's showing up to do their speaking engagements. Hey, Hillbilly family, what's up? What we'll do, you guys, what I'm trying to think about doing is that after we do this week, right, or we do the 7 days, 7 speakers, we'll take like a break for a couple of weeks, and then we can do another round of 7 speakers. And so for those of you guys that are like, I wanted to join, I wanted to tell my story, you know, we'll do this again. So if anybody is interested in being a guest on my channel and you want to tell your story, if you'll please text me at that phone number right there, I will put you on the calendar for the next time we do recovery week. Okay. So it'll be good. It'll be good. I feel a lot better though, you guys. Yesterday I was struggling. I was really depressed. I've been really emotional the last couple days. And I feel a lot better. I think I feel better because I went out and I did something that's going to help me in my life. You know what I mean? And just so you guys know, like Nick was helping me a lot. He was working me out and he was helping me with my workouts. But he's really busy. And now what's going to happen is at this West Little Rock CrossFit, they'll teach me workouts and then I can come home and teach you guys the workouts. So, or I can take you guys with me and we can vlog when I do the workouts with JD, because the guy that's going to be training me, his name is JD. So I'm really, really excited, but I'm really, really scared at the same time, you guys. And I really, really, really want to be happy in my own skin. You know, I feel so good because I'm sober and I'm changing my life in that way. And I just want to feel beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this whole CrossFit situation is going to be all about. But I see Joe. I see Joe's little ginger beard. So let me get him on up here, y'all. Hold on just a second.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey.
What's going on, girl?
I hear you great.
Awesome.
I am
Hey, everybody.
so excited to have you.
I'm excited too.
Okay.
A little nervous, but very excited.
Don't be nervous at all. You're going to do great. I just know you are. Okay?
Cool.
It's like we're talking on the phone, like you're talking to an old friend. I want you to just breathe. Okay. So, you done breathing?
I'm done. I'm ready to go.
Okay. Tell everybody what your name is, how long you've been sober, and then I want you to start out and tell us what it was like when you were growing up as a kid.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Joe. My sobriety date is September 21st, 2003. I'm currently on Suboxone. I'm on 2 milligrams. I've been tapering for a few months. The dose that I started at and I was pretty much on for 7 years was 8 milligrams. Growing up, I came from a very typical childhood home, I would say. Both my parents were married. They still are. Life was good. It was very comfortable. I live right outside of Philadelphia, so I grew up in the suburbs. I am the youngest of 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
You're the baby?
I am the baby, yes.
Aww,
definitely.
And
that never leaves you. That follows you. I feel like it follows you your whole life.
Yep.
So there are definitely advantages of being the baby, but there's also disadvantages of it. So I would say what started my drug history was I started smoking marijuana around the age of 11 or 12.
11 or 12? How did that happen?
Just the friends, my best friends, that's what we're about. We started smoking cigarettes really young, and we were just about getting into trouble, you know.
Did you hang out with kids that had older brothers and sisters?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I was always like the class clown. I was always getting into trouble in school. To be honest, I think that I have ADHD, but I've never been diagnosed. And I mean, like recently I was just in a intensive outpatient, you know, and they were trying to push me into getting diagnosed for it. It's just hard right now with the COVID. Like, you have to see a psychiatrist in person. So my area, like the restrictions are starting to be lifted now. So, but I was always getting into trouble, always getting suspended from school, and you know, just acting out. So it started with smoking pot, and then I think in high school.
Probably because you're the baby. Because you were the baby and you were vying for attention. So do you see how that, like, that's what it is? Because I'm the oldest, and there's my middle sister and then my baby sister. And my little sister Christine, like, my parents were so like focused on me and my sister Michelle, that my sister
Hmm.
Christine started kind of doing the same thing, like acting out because she wanted to get my parents' attention. And so you might not even have realized it back then, but because you were the youngest of four kids, you could have been kind of acting out because maybe you weren't getting that attention from your parents that you thought you needed, you know?
You know what? That you're saying that, I definitely could see it being like an attention seeking thing because my mom like always tells me like when she's talking about us growing up, like we always did family dinner and you had to be home for dinner and we were all sitting at the table eating. And they just said didn't matter how old I was just always cracking jokes trying to make everybody laugh. So I guess I liked that attention.
Yeah.
Um, so that definitely makes sense. So through high school, then I really started experimenting with other drugs. Like I graduated high school in 2002, so like right around like 98, 99, ecstasy became a big thing. So we were
Yeah.
rolling on the weekends. We were doing acid, doing shrooms. Um, and the older I got, I guess my drugs started to progress as well. Um, I can remember in my 11th grade year, we started doing coke, like that started being a thing. And right around that time, my mom had got cancer. She got it's the type of cancer she had is called esophageal. It's cancer of the
Oh, wow.
esophagus. And back then, the mortality rate was like extremely high. Um, but God willing, like that's a whole nother story. But she pushed through and made it. Um, when she
Wow.
had the
Thank
cancer, there
God.
were right. Second time she had cancer too. She actually had cancer. She had thyroid cancer when she was pregnant with me. So, but God, she's such a strong woman, and like self talk is so important. And that's something that I personally struggle with. Like I can be extremely negative with myself. And one way that she said that she really makes it through, when she got the cancer, the doctors told her like, you're going to be in the fight of your life. You have to try to strengthen yourself. They wanted her to start working out. So she bought a treadmill and put it in her room. And she said every day she would run on the treadmill and say, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to get through this. And she refused to believe that it was going to take her life. She had four kids and a husband. She did not want to leave us behind. Um,
Yeah.
so, so she had many surgeries for the cancer. And when you have surgery, they give you pain medication. She would not take any of her pain medication. She didn't want, she is a nurse. Um, she's very familiar with it and she just was not into it. So, but she got the prescriptions. She just wouldn't take it. She was getting
Mm.
heavy duty stuff. She was getting oxymorphone. Um, so I eventually one day I stumbled it into their medicine cabinet in their bedroom and I realized that there were several bottles like filled to the brim, 120 counts. Um, and I didn't know what it was. Just one night I was bored and I didn't have any pot. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try one of these. So I did and oh my gosh, that like
What
I
was it
found
like
out
the first time? Tell us what it was
it,
like.
I can't remember the exact first time that I took it, but man, did I realize like, forget everything else. This is where it's at. This is what I like. This is what works for me. Nothing else has ever made me feel that way. Um, so, first I was just, taking a pill here and there. And then my friends found out and I was giving them out to them. And then we started, one of my friends was like, yo, if you break them up and snort them, hey, they were like, if I took a whole pill, I would be nodding out. I'd be screwed up. So I could break it into a quarter and smash it up and snort it, and I could get fucked up, but I could still function kind of. So
Yeah.
that went on. So I worked my way through the pill bottles that she had in her cabinet. My parents didn't notice anything. Um, when I had finished all of the opiates, um, I was like, shit, what am I going to do now? I noticed she had Valium in there. So I remember feeling terrible when I ran out of the opiates. I didn't realize it, but I'll address that in a minute. So I didn't have any pain pills for like 2 days, and I felt horrible. And then I took a Valium, and I felt instantly good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. The next
Yeah.
day, I went back to get another Valium. I got caught. And once I got caught, my mom noticed all the pain medication was gone, and she was like, well, where's all this? Well, I took it. She said, how do you feel? I said, I feel worse than I've ever felt. She's like, you're going through withdrawal. So not even realizing it, knowing nothing about opiates, like I had became addicted to opiates. So that really sucked. Like I said, that was my junior year of high school. So I remember my parents wanted me to stay around the house for a couple of weeks, and I kind of, detoxed at home, per se. And then I took a break from the opiates. They weren't really available. I didn't know where to get them. I was just a high school kid, so I just left it alone. Um,
Yeah.
it wasn't until right after I turned 21, I had broken up with my long-term girlfriend, and I was just really distraught. And some guy that I was hanging out with, his mom would get scripts of perks, and her doctor was kind of like a pill mill doctor, just go in there with money and you can get what you want. So me and him
Yeah.
became best friends, and I was back off to the races with the opiates. And then, things just kind of started to progress. It was the Percocets, and then, just talking to people, I eventually stumbled onto the oxys, and that was my downfall because I fell in love with Oxycontin, you know. Um,
I remember when Oxycontin were like everywhere, and you could get them from everybody had them. Everybody. They were so and it was like 97 to like 2012 or 13 is when, I mean,
wow.
that's for a long time, I feel like. And I would get them. I had the same guy who sold me the same prescription every single month. Did you do that? Did you have like people that, because the way we did it here was, I know a lot of people that lived in Hot Springs where I grew up who were older people who would get
Mhm.
prescriptions for pain pills, and they were on fixed incomes. They didn't like the way the pills made them feel, so they would get their prescriptions and sell them. And so I
Yep.
had about 5 old ladies that I would go to, one at the first of the month, one in the middle of the month, one in the end of the month, and just hit them up and go buy all their prescriptions every month, just like that.
Exactly. Yeah, we had our little group of people like that, but what it was a bunch of guys that were into doing heroin. They would get their oxys and sell off their oxys so they could go get dope. And
Oh,
I eventually made it to heroin. But oxys were always if I had my choice, I wanted the oxys. Um, so yeah, we were buying them off of. One of the other things was somebody that I became really good friends with. This guy named Frank. He he was in a really bad car wreck, and he had a major back surgery. So he had a doctor who was giving him crazy amounts of 30s and instant release 15s, and then just big bottles of Vicodin and perks. I had met him because he didn't like the Vicodin or the Percocet, so he would sell them for the money for Oxy. So eventually, him and I became best friends, and he showed me about the Oxys. And something that I have a lot of guilt about is, um, so I knew all these guys that like to sell their Oxys to get dope, but I didn't like doing the dope. So I introduced Frank into the dope, you know, realizing, oh, if I get him doing the dope, he'll want to sell me his oxys, you know. So he ended up overdosing and dying a little bit after I got clean. So that's, you know,
Oh
that's like
man,
a
I'm
soft
sorry.
spot. It's, I mean, it's all part of this lifestyle, you know, but just it's just one of those things. Like you know, one day I'll eventually get all the way over it, but I still hold on to some guilt from it. Um, so like I said, you know, my progression went, you know, starting from the perks and Vikes into the oxys, but eventually, like, uh, unless you're a millionaire, nobody's going to be able to support their habit with oxys. So
Right.
eventually, I went down that road and I got into dope. Um, I started living down the city with my connect. Um, I would hop on
Tell
the
me
train every.
this. How did your family, like, how did your mom and dad react to knowing that you were on dope? Like, did they know? Were you not coming around? Were you fighting with them? Tell me, like, what was their reaction?
Um, so they had been through the progression with me too. Like they saw me, like they would help try to get me into rehab like all the time. So initially with the Percocet, I can't remember how they found out. It was probably a money issue. Um, I'm an auto mechanic and my dad had owned a shop, so I worked for him for many years. So like he knew
Hmm.
what I was getting paid. He could always track my money. Um, so like I'm stealing from work and I'm doing shady shit with cars. So he could always kind of tell something was going on with me. Um, so through all my progressions, I was always going into rehabs. First rehab, I just went for 5 days and I detoxed, and they asked me if I wanted to stay. And I was like, no, why would I stay? You guys just got me off of the pills, you know, I'm going home. I
Yeah,
did
I
that.
feel great. I got this. I'm
Yeah,
out of
like
here.
why would I stay here? I'm not sick anymore, you know?
Right.
So, but I don't think it was shocking for them, you know, because they knew what was going on with me through like all the steps in my life. And I was the only one of my siblings that really had a drug problem. Like my sister, so I have, uh, I'm the youngest. I have a sister that was a year apart from me, and me and her have always been like best friends. Then my brother, there's like a 4 year gap between him and my sister, and then my eldest sister is a year older than my brother. Um, my sister that was close to me, she had a little bit of a problem with ecstasy in high school, but that she got over it.
Yeah.
So I was like the black sheep of the family. Like I was just always fucked up, and I could not like put it
Did
together.
your
I could
parents
not get.
have any addictions? Like anybody in your
Um,
family besides you? Aunts,
I
uncles,
mean,
grandma,
I,
grandpa?
I I have aunts and uncles that are alcoholics and stuff like that. But I mean, like my dad drinks and he, you know, like every day, you know, he'll drink like a 6 pack or something. But I would not say that he's an alcoholic. But it's definitely in my family. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know one of my aunts was a really bad alcoholic. So, but to be honest, I've always had an addictive personality. So it was just, you know, it was
Me
just a
too.
matter of time. Once I, once I found the opiates, like I was just off to the races. So,
How many
um,
rehabs did you go to?
I've probably been to at least 10 to 15. Yeah, easy.
Damn. So
Yeah,
like two a
yeah.
year?
Sometimes even more. There was a stretch
Yeah.
from like, yeah, 2005 to 2008. That was pretty much my stretch of rehabs, and man, yeah, I was. It, some of them I would just go in for detox. Some of them I would stay 30 days. I did a few 90-day ones. I've
Uh-huh.
I did a 30-day one. I was there for 28 days. They kicked me out for not following rules. It was like a stricter one, so like they told you what time you had to be up. You had to go right to breakfast. And if I would wake up early, I'd want to go smoke, and you couldn't smoke when you wanted. So I just remember like, fuck this, I'm gonna go smoke. I'm gonna do what I want,
Yeah.
not listening to anybody. And they kicked me out, and I had them take me to the house I was staying at in the city. I was there for a couple of hours, got good and fucked up, and called another rehab. Like, hey, I just got out of rehab. I used. Can I, So they put me into that one. So, yeah, plenty of rehab.
That
Um,
was back in the day when you could go like I feel like now it's so much more difficult to get into treatment because I feel like so much more people are needing treatment now. Because I was
yeah,
in and out of treatment too and it was the same. I would go back to the same one because they always took me back. You know what I mean? Or I would go
yeah.
into their halfway house, and so I did the same thing, like back and forth 3 or 4 times, just the same place. So I could totally relate to that. Totally.
And it was funny like how my progressions with the rehab would go, because like it started out I was going to ones that were like 15 minutes away from my house. Like there's a bunch of them around me, so like I hit up all the ones in my area. And then as my disease progressed, like so did the rehab stays, so I kept going further out and out. Like I'm going to one that's 2 hours away from my house, I'm going to one that's 8 hours away from my house. And no matter what, didn't matter. I still, um, the one that was furthest out for me, like I said, I'm right outside of Philadelphia. I was going to one that was right outside of Pittsburgh, and I completed that one, and I actually agreed to stay in a halfway house. And I was maybe in the halfway house for a week, and then off to the races again.
Did you
So,
ever like what were they teaching in there? Was it just 12-step abstinence based treatment?
yeah,
Hey guys.
yep, yeah.
Okay.
Most of them were 12 steps, AA or NA, and um, like the typical, like there no caffeine, trying to limit the amount of
Yeah.
sugar that you're getting in. So I've never I never wanted to get clean for myself was my problem. Um,
Mhm.
when I was staying down in the city and I was living in the dope house, um, there were only two people that stuck by my side, my dad and my brother. It didn't matter what I would do, they would not turn their backs on me. Like, my brother was living in California. He was not around me. I would call him at any time and be like, dude, I'm in bad shape. I need money. He would drive his ass to Western Union, and Western Union me $10, $20, whatever, for whatever bullshit story I was telling him. You know,
Yeah.
if he believed me or not, I didn't care. I just needed to get high, you know. Um, and my dad, like, I remember, so when I was staying in the dope house, my brother actually came into town, and he was staying with my parents for the week, and he convinced my parents to let me come and stay at the house because my brother and I are like best friends. Um, and my one night my sister came over to the house, and she was going to spend the night, and it was really late. It was like 2 in the morning. I snuck out on the back porch, and I was shooting dope, and she saw me, and she flipped the lights on and came out. What the are you doing? And I caught you. And I came up with a story. I was trying to put a battery in my cell phone or something like that. Um, yeah, just
What?
when you're getting high, you think you have everybody fooled. Like you
Oh,
think your
yeah.
thought process is state of the art, but it's not. It's
Right.
quite
How
obvious.
did you go how did you go from snorting it to shooting it? Was it just like one day you just decided to shoot it?
No, I only shot like maybe for a month and a half, and even at that, I wouldn't do it full time. Like the only time I would do it is like if I really had nothing and I was getting low. But I
Mhm.
really preferred not to. Just needle scared me. I didn't like it. But at
Okay.
that moment, I was stuck in my parents' house. I really didn't have much, and I knew I needed to stretch it. So,
Yeah.
when my sister had called me the next morning, she's telling my parents, And my mom was like, listen, she was talking to my dad and she was like, we got to love him from a distance. We can't help him. Like, take him to the train station, let him figure it out, you know? And oh man, that sucked. Just watching my father cry. My dad is like a big manly man, and it rocked him having to take me to the train station, having to tell me that I couldn't stay in their house, you know? But like, that was my mom's stance. She wasn't giving up on me, but she knew that
Had
she couldn't enable me. Yeah.
yeah,
So, but regardless, through all that, it didn't matter. Like, my dad, he was like my champion. He was just always trying to be in contact with me and trying to get me into a rehab. You know, so whenever I would go to rehab, it was because I was tired of hurting my dad. Like,
yeah.
honestly. So,
Yeah.
like
So
I
tell me
had.
this. My mom was the same way. She finally had to put her foot down, and like my dad would have done the same thing. Like my dad would just wanted to love me to get sober. Like, why can't you just quit? It would break his heart to see me like that. And my mom was the same way. She was like, we have to stop this. We can't watch you kill yourself any longer, you know? And it was the hardest thing because I felt like they were giving up on me, but really they had stuck by me all those years, and I just kept going back and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so it wasn't until they put their foot down and kicked me out that I actually like started having to go through hardship and not have a place to live. And I think that when we get kicked out and they take their enabling away from us, it like makes it harder for us to be able to get high because we're having to rely on our own devices, and we don't have jobs, we don't have money. And so I think my parents and probably your parents thought was, we'll cut him off and this will help him get to his bottom faster. And for
Mhm.
me, I don't know about you, but I was a hustler. And so they cut me off. I found me a couple of old men to be my boyfriends so I could get some money from them. And
Mhm.
I was out
Yep.
there making a way. And that's how crazy it is. It's like we will make a way when there is no way to be found, you know?
Exactly. I think that's why my dad would never give up, because he realized like they tried the tough love route, and then I'm living down in the city and I'm selling shit. Like, I'm
Yeah.
hustling to get um to that house that I was, and he could see like, you know, we cut him off and he's still worse than ever. Um, like, when I was living at the dope house, I would hop on the train and I would come up to the suburbs and I would sell the dope for like double the price and go back and give it to my dude, and you know, I would get well. Um, he eventually, the police kicked in his door, not for drugs. He would let people stay there, and there was a girl that he was letting stay there, and I can't remember if she was 17 or 18 at the time. I think she was an adult. Um, she had somebody call her parents and tell her parents that she overdosed and died. I don't know why she did this. I think she just wanted to hurt her parents' feelings. Like, she was pissed at her parents and she wanted them to hurt like she was hurting. Well, her parents were like, if she's dead, I know a house that it happened at. So their parents called the police and they kicked in the door to find out if this girl was dead or not. Arrested my guy,
Uh-huh.
took all of his stuff. There's guns and drugs in the house. They took me too down to the police station. I only stayed there overnight, and in the morning they were like, "Do you want to give us any info on such and such?" I was like, "No." They're like, "All right, well, I guess we got to cut you loose." He ended up getting away with everything because the way they found the drugs was not why they had the warrant to go in the house, but that
Uh-huh.
took months. So when he's out of the house and I don't have my connect anymore, I'm having to get shit off of the street corners. My hustle was, we lived on a block that they sold coke at, but the coke boys would go in after dark. I would smash up Tylenol and put it in bags and go out there after they went in, and I'm the only white person for miles, you know.
Yeah.
And they would tell me, you know, I would see them in the morning. They'd be like, "You got such and such." Like, yo, somebody's gonna they're gonna kill you. But I did
Right.
not care. You know,
Uh,
I just always thought I was slicker than everybody else, and I could get away with it. But yeah,
and when
so
we're getting high, we have no fear. Like when that mission is to
no,
get drugs, and
did
we will
not
go to
care.
any lengths to get those drugs. Any lengths. I
So,
know, man.
so
I have pulled guns on people. I have done the stupidest shit. I would never do that shit now. Never. You know?
so I'll tell you a crazy story about something that I did. So this was at a point where my guy he was in jail, so I didn't have my connect anymore. And my buddy Frank, he would always come down, and he didn't like to go to the corners. I didn't care, so he would come down, give me the money, and I would go get it and come back to the house. This one particular was a Saturday morning on the July 4th weekend. Um, he he came down and he was really sick, so he's like, "I'll just drive you down to the corner." It was like 5 blocks away. I was like, "All right, cool. I don't have to walk." I hopped in the car. We grabbed it. We're leaving. I got a straw in the bag, and I'm hitting my bag, and then we see the lights in the back. He's driving. He can't do anything. So we get pulled. Cops were watching the block, and they saw everything happen, so they had us. Um, I didn't do the whole bag. There's a little like corner. There was some left in the corner of the bag, and this is East Coast. There's no black tar. It's powder. Um,
Yeah.
so I threw that down, and I had two other bags, and they got that. But I was watching the cop search the car, and he didn't pick up that bag off the ground. So they take us, and then they go back to the block, and they get the dealer too. So I'm like, fuck, they're gonna think we were snitching. But he got in the car. He knew that they were watching, so he wasn't tripping. I was in the cell with the dude that sold it to me, so that was a trip. It was a holiday weekend, so we had to stay in there all weekend. Um, Eventually, I get released on my own reconnaissance, and like 5 a.m. on Monday morning, they released me, but my buddy Frank, they did not release him yet. So I get out, and his vehicle, the cops were cool. They let him park it up and lock it. They didn't tow it. They left it on the street. So I'm like, oh shit, I know that bag's still there, and they didn't tow the vehicle. So I start huffing it back to the car. I get back to the car. I look in it. I can still see the bag. Go around. It's locked. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? I went and grabbed a huge stone, and I smashed that passenger windshield. I felt so bad. Like, this is my boy, and it was not his vehicle. It was his grandfather's vehicle, and he was staying with
That's
his
the
grandparents.
desperation. You
Yes,
were desperate.
and I knew it wasn't even that much. I didn't really get high off of it. It was just enough to get me well, so I could
Yeah.
scheme away to get some money and get right. But just the crazy things we do, like, that was my really good friend, and I knew he was already going to be in a lot of trouble, and I knew this was probably going to make it worse. But that's that's what this addiction does to you. Like,
Oh yeah.
it turns you into an animal. That's how I felt. Like, I was a wild animal. There was no human inside of me. I was just going off of instinct. I had one goal, to feed that beast inside of me, and I was gonna do whatever I had to do. It didn't matter who it was. So
Yeah. Me and
um
Neil, we dropped a little 30 milligram oxy in his old car. It was like a Nissan Xterra. And
mhm.
I knew we had dropped it because it went down in the crack of the seat. We took the seat out of the car, like unscrewed it. I
Yep.
mean, we ripped this
Mhm.
Xterra apart, looking everywhere, and we never found that damn oxy.
Oh, that's the
It
worst
was
part.
$30. We had literally just bought three of them. One for me, one for him, and then we would half the other one. And
Yep.
we dropped the third one, and we were so pissed. We never, I don't know. Sometimes I think that he found it and didn't say anything, but he'll never admit it.
Yeah, you know what? Because while I was in the worst of my opiate use, I had a girlfriend that was with me for those couple of years, and we were running partners, but like I did it. I basically did everything, and I would just break her off. But I was never doing anything 50-50. If I had an Oxy 80, I was probably getting 60 milligrams. She was getting 20. But, you know,
Right.
I would never tell her that. You know, if I got 5 bags of dope, I'm getting 3, she's getting 2, or I'm getting 4 and she's getting 1, you know, but
One.
I would never
Yeah.
tell her that. So, um, but when my life started to turn around, after I went to the rehab out towards Pittsburgh, and I was in a halfway house, and I got kicked out of that for getting high. My dad came up and he picked me up, and he brought me back home against my mom's wishes, and he was like, "Listen, you're gonna stay in this house. You're gonna be glued to my hip. I don't care." He's like, "This is what we're gonna do, and you're gonna get straight." Um, and that worked for for a while, but eventually I started finding ways to slip away, and before I know it, I'm just taking the train down to the city every day, same shit. Um, and he realized about this. I was probably back home for like 3 months, and it was right around Christmas time. All of my family is in town. They're all staying at my parents, and my brother's birthday is the day after Christmas. So I remember going out for um, we all went out to celebrate his birthday the day after Christmas, and everybody's like, "Why are you so miserable? Why are you so miserable?" I was going through withdrawal. I didn't want anybody to know. The next morning, I had to fess up to everybody, like, "Hey, guess what? I've been fucking up again. You know, I'm going through really bad withdrawal. Um, I don't want to go through it at home." So they were like, "You got to go back to rehab." So it was so depressing. I only got to see my brother like once a year because he was in California at this point. So I had to miss out on the trip. You know, he got there on Christmas Eve, so I saw him for like 3 days. Um, had to miss out on the trip. Sucked. I had to go into rehab. I was into rehab over New Year's. So this is New Year's Eve on 2008, turning into 2009. It was just so depressing, and I just felt like I can't get this. Nothing is sticking. I just want to kill myself. I don't care how long I have to be here. When I get out of here, I'm just gonna go get a bunch of dope, and I'm just gonna, I'm gonna fall out, and I don't care because I'm tired of it. Um, and when I don't know how it is everywhere else, but in Pennsylvania back then, you would do like detox was anywhere from 5 to 10 days. I would normally, stretch it out, like telling them I'm feeling like shit. I wanted to be on meds as long as I could. Um, and the aftercare guy brought me in his office, and he's like, "Tell me your story. Tell me your whole story. I got time." So I went through my whole story. He's like, "Listen, man, he's like, I'm an addict too. I'm in recovery." He was like, "Have you ever tried methadone?" He's like, "Have you ever thought about maintenance drugs?" I was like, "Nah, man. I know." My mom was a nurse, and she was not cool with methadone. She was not a fan of it. So anytime like that conversation got brought up, she was shooting it down. Um, but at this point, I had tried everything. He was like, and there was a methadone clinic in my town. He was like, "Let me call over and see if I can get you in." And normally the waiting list is crazy. He called them and he was like, "Listen, we'll discharge you today. We will take you right over to the methadone clinic. They will get you checked in, and you're probably going to get dosed today." He's like, "Are you willing to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So that's that was the beginning of me getting my life back. Um, I did not stay clean right away in the methadone clinic. It was probably 2 months of me, dabbling. I wasn't getting high every day, but like on the weekends, or if I had extra cash or I could sneak away, um, I was going out, and at this point I was like doing coke, and because I couldn't do opiates. Um, but going to the methadone clinic every day and having that accountability, And, you know, if you go in there fucked up, they're not going to dose you. So, like, I knew I couldn't go in there all messed up. And then, you know, I'm seeing these people getting take homes, and you can see like the progression in the people that are getting the take homes. Like, they're driving themselves in their own vehicles. The people that are coming there every day are riding the bus. I rode the bus every day, an hour to the methadone clinic, an hour back, and then I'm going to work, and I hated it. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get some take homes for myself. I'm gonna try this. So I just kept pushing, and I kept trying to do the right thing. You know, I was trying to do AA and NA, but in my area, there's a lot of headstrong people. Like, sometimes I would go into meetings and I would not say anything about the methadone, but I would know in my heart that I'm not, you know, being authentic. And what's the point if you're not really putting yourself all the way out there? So I never really, AA and NA kind of always turned me off to that fact. Because, like, how are you going to, like, people are trying to change their lives. How are you going to judge them and tell them they can't talk in your meeting because they take methadone? Like, come on. So I stuck with the methadone, and that's what it definitely helped me get my life back. It helped me get the distance from people, places, and things. Like, you hear that all the time in rehabs, in the meetings, but it's the truth. If you're hanging out with people that are getting high, it's only a matter of time before you're gonna make your way to that.
Here's the thing: when you go to these 12-step meetings, it's okay. So with maintenance medication, it is proven scientifically that giving somebody this medication, it curbs the cravings for the drug, opiates. And then while that person's on the medication, they can go to groups, and they can get jobs, and they can rebuild their life step by step. And so that's why I never understood why the 12-step meetings didn't kind of work with the maintenance programs and encourage those people to come in and join them. And that's why I think that Mara and like our channel here that's why it's doing so well, because there are so many people that are on these maintenance medications that need support. And it's not the program of AA that represents that. It's the people in the program that misinterpret it, because AA is there to be a support for people. And even in their readings, they talk about how they're not doctors. And if you even look back and read about Bill Wilson, the creator of AA, when he created it, and even through his sobriety, he was on sedatives and he was on hallucinogens. And so, like, a lot of people don't even realize that, you know, there was other maintenance medications being used by himself, the creator of AA. And that's why they talk so much about how it's so important to talk with your physician, and a sponsor's just strictly there to take you through the 12 steps. But that's not, if that was the way that they were represented, and that's the way all people in those programs treated people on maintenance, it would be amazing, and so many people would want to be there. But what happens is people with egos start taking over, and they give it a bad name. And so that's why I think the best thing that we ever did was start, Jeff that started Mara, and now we have our own fellowship. Our own fellowship with 12 steps for people who understand what it's like to be judged, to be on a medication. I mean, we have so many people here that are on maintenance medication, and if we didn't tell you that we were on it, you would never know. You know, and that's the thing. We tell people because we want to help other people who are on maintenance not feel alone, you know. But you would never know. If you looked at Joe and got on the phone with him today, nobody would know. If you came to this channel and I didn't say anything about being on Suboxone, you would never know it. I could sit here and claim that I'm 100% recovered and I did it through this and that. But I'm honest. And that's the thing. honesty is key in your recovery.
Yes,
So
it
if you
is.
can't be honest about everything that you're taking, then you're a fraud. I am
Mhm.
honest because that's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? I know
Damn right,
so many
girl.
people that are on medications and then they lie about it. It's like there's no reason to lie about it because that should never be something that anybody judges you for, you know? But then
Yes.
there's people that do that, and there's no reason to be ashamed of being on Suboxone or methadone. Those medications were specifically designed to help you change your life so you can get to where you're going. I've never, I was so afraid to get on Suboxone. I'm not trying to take up any of your time. I know it's your story,
No, it's
but I
fine.
was so afraid to get on it because it had been drilled into my head that the only way to recover was through this certain way. And so that's why I think it's like so important for us to share what's working for us, because there's so many other people who the only way they've been shown is through 12-step abstinence-based rehab treatment. And that's not the only way. There are so many of us who are being successful through this way right here, you know?
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Keep on going. What
no.
happened with the methadone? Tell us what happened.
So to tie in with what you're saying, my mom, her being a nurse and her having a lot of experiences seeing addicts come in and out of the hospital, she was one of those people. She was always so resistant for me to get on the methadone, and after me being in the program for 6 months, 9 months, she came up to me and she's like, I am so sorry for making you feel judged, because she saw how much it changed my life. And honesty is a huge thing when you're on maintenance. And um, I will delve deeper into this part of it, but I did not tell my wife that I was on Suboxone. I've been on Suboxone for 7 years. Um, my wife, we've been married for a year, but we've been together for 7 years, and I've always been so ashamed. She didn't know that I was on it because, just like you said, if you don't tell anybody, they don't know, because this gave me my life back. I have my shit together. It gave me the tools. Unfortunately, what I was doing was kind of being a dry drunk and not really working any kind of a program. It was just taking the medication and I'm fine, But to kind of backtrack a little bit, so I got on the methadone. I was doing great on the methadone. After a couple of months, I was not using any other drugs, and I stuck with the methadone. I was on it for 5 years, um, and I had started tapering myself off right when I had met my wife.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when we had met, I had told her. Um, I remember she spent a night with me, and the next morning I had to take my dose. So I told her, I'm like, hey, I got to talk to you about something. I take this
Nathaniel.
medication every day. It's methadone. I had an opiate problem. I broke it down to her, and she wasn't thrilled about it, but she got it. So I continued my taper on methadone, and when I tapered off of methadone, I felt no withdrawal. I can't remember how I tapered. I just know when I got down to 10 milligrams, I started doing a milligram a week. And when I got down to zero, I had no physical withdrawals at all. I mean, the
That's
craving
great.
started, right? I was shocked. Everybody told me like, oh, you're going to hurt for a month. It's going to be the worst experience of your life. No, it's not like I came off 80 milligrams in jail. Like I did
Right.
taper down, but I felt nothing. Problem was, so me and my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, um, I had tapered off, and we ended up breaking up the same week that I came off of the methadone. And on top of that, I started a new job too.
Uh-huh.
So I had a whole lot of stuff going on, and I just came off the methadone. And when her and I had split up at that time, I was devastated because everybody's different. I knew that this was the woman that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with very fast. Like, it was not hard to tell for me. It took her a little longer to figure that out, but everybody's works at different speeds.
Yeah.
So came off of the methadone and we split up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is bad news. So I white knuckled it, not telling anybody about it for like 2 weeks, and then eventually I slipped up. Um, my parents had, at this point, I was living with my parents, and they had some Percocets in their house that I had known about forever. And I'm like, well, do I go down the city? Do I get some dope? Or I was like, I'm just gonna steal some Percocets. So I did that, and then next thing I know, I'm getting Opanos from some guy at my work. I'm starting to ramp up again, and then he's like, I can get you dope if you want, and I just, it was bad enough taking the pills, but I'm like, man, I'm gonna start doing dope again. Like, just, I didn't want to devastate my family, and then on top of it, my girlfriend at the time that had broken up with me, I never thought she was gonna get back with me. We had, after a couple of weeks, we ended up getting back together. So I'm like, oh shit, now we're back together, and I have, my physical addiction is back. I'm hooked. I'm going through withdrawal if I don't have pills. So I was scrambling, and early in my addiction, I had tried Suboxone in 2002. After I went to my first rehab, when I came out of that, I had tried Suboxone, but I was not taking it right. I was only taking it when I was not, I was only taking it to not be sick. So if I could
Right.
get shit, yeah, I was playing that game and selling them and doing all that. Wasn't taking it serious. I was not in a good spot. Um, so me and my girlfriend get back together, and I have this pill addiction now. I'm like, damn. And I called the clinic back. I had been out of there for like 4 weeks. I was like, can you get me back in? They're like, nope, we got to put you on the waiting list, and that can take months.
Oh,
So I'm like, what do I do? I'm gonna start shooting dope again. So I was like, wait, that Suboxone doctor that I tried, he's still around. So I called him. He had me come in, and I got on Suboxone, and it was such a different experience this time around, because I used the methadone clinic. I knew what it took to get clean, to, you know what I mean? So even though I didn't have to go to my doctor, every day like I did with the Suboxone, I was in a good enough place where I was using the medication correctly. I was taking it every day. I was not getting high. I was not sharing it or selling it. Um, but unfortunately, I I felt like if I told my girlfriend that, um, she wasn't really thrilled about the methadone. So I'm like, well, we just got back together. If I tell her about the Suboxone, she's just going to bail, So I was like, I'm just going to stay on it for a couple of weeks. I'm going to wean myself off so I don't have physical withdrawal, so I don't have to go through that. Yeah, that never happened. So while I was staying clean and I was staying on the Suboxone, it was like this dirty little secret that I had, you know. So her and I ended up getting engaged. We got our own place together. Um, my wife has epilepsy. Um, she was diagnosed with it when she was 18. Um, and the older she gets, it seems like it's progressively getting worse, although she's doing all right now. She can't work. At the time, she was driving, but with her epilepsy, she has really severe migraines. So it's like she would have a migraine every single day. So it's really hard to plan life around migraines because you never know
yeah.
when they're coming. So I'm the only one that works. She stays home, and I do my best to take care of her. Um, so we're living together. We got our own place, and this is June of 2015. eventually I slipped up and she found some of my Suboxone, and she's like, "What's this?" I told her like, "This is mine. This is Suboxone. I've been on it." Um, and
Sorry.
you know
Look.
what? Actually,
Oh, there you can't see him. I was trying to show you these two boys over here. Do you hear them whispering to me?
it's all right. It's all good. Um, you know what? And I had actually given my wife some Suboxone. She's always been on pain. She could always
Pain
get pain
meds.
medication if she wanted it for her migraines. So she would normally have Percocet and stuff. But we were at a point where she didn't have health insurance, and she's really struggling with her migraines. I'm like, hey, I know something that you could take for your migraines, you know. So like the addict in me is like, give her some Suboxone. So she had taken it before. She knew what it was. So when she found it, she was like, is this that shit that you're getting from that dude from your work that you were bringing home for me? I'm like, nope, that was mine, and I've been on it the whole time ever since we got back together. She did not
Yeah.
handle it well. Um, she left. She just packed her shit and left. Um, and I continued to stay on the Suboxone. We were separated for about a year, and eventually, we always kept in contact. Um, I was living with a different woman. Me and this woman were dating, and we decided to get a house together. Um, but I was always in love with my wife. Like that never went away. Um, and it came to a point where she was like, "I miss you, and I just, I want to be with you. I'm tired of fighting it." So we ended up getting back together. I got that woman out of that house. I brought my wife in, and she's like, "Are you on the Suboxone still?" Nope, I'm not on it. I got off of it, which is bullshit.
You
You,
you keep lying.
I know, because I have a
Why?
problem with lying, because that is one of my behaviors from being an addict. Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
I think the lying has always been. I think the lying was there before the addiction. So that is something that I really struggle with, and I am desperately trying to change my life and be more accountable. Um,
Yeah.
the lying always stems from afraid. I'm afraid to be judged, and I'm afraid what people are going to think about me. I'm creating this narrative in my brain, like, oh, they're going to think you're a. I don't want to curse too much because I don't want to get you in
No,
trouble. Is
you're
that
right.
in it?
No,
Okay. Yeah, I
you
don't
can
think
cuss.
I don't want people to think I'm a piece of shit. So if
Right.
I put up this facade and I lie, they're not going to think I'm a bad person because I think I'm a bad person. So what are they going to think about me? I'm lying to myself. Honestly, I'm in my
Yeah.
head. Um, so really, my wife and I got back together. We got married in April of 2019. Um, and you know, we have our struggles, but we have a lot of strength in our relationship. When COVID hit, it was terrifying for me because how am I going to take my Suboxone like I would take it when I would go to work. I would dose twice a day. I would dose in the morning on my ride to work, and I would dose on my ride home from work. Once COVID hit, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to take this medication? I'm around my wife all the time. Like, it
Right.
was terrifying. Um, and I was out of work for like 3 weeks. The first day that I went back to work, um, I went back to work on a Friday, and then that Saturday, I slipped up and I left one of my films sitting on the passenger seat of my car. So she found it, and she's like, "Here we go again." Um, by the grace of God, this time she did not leave me. She stuck by my side, um, which is that was always my biggest fear. I've been walking around like if she finds out, she's gonna leave me. and I don't want to lose the love of my life. Like I felt like I was in such a bind, you know. Um, but it was just lie. I'm lying to myself. It's
Now the cat's out of the bag though, and now you don't have to lie and you can be honest about it, you know?
exactly. So I know that I'm running up your time, so I know I got to wrap this up soon. So I'll try to do this very fast. She stuck with me, but
Okay,
she was
you're
like,
fine.
you got to get help. What you're doing. Um, you're not working a program. You're just taking this medication. So I enrolled in intensive outpatient. I did an intensive outpatient course. Loved it because, like I said, this whole time I've not been working a program, and I've been holding this all inside, and it's been eating me mercilessly. So I did intensive outpatient, but my intensive outpatients are like, man, you got to get into a 12-step program, and I'm terrified because I'm on the Suboxone, and I haven't been in those meetings since like 2008, but I remember how shitty of an experience it was, So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I hopped onto YouTube, um, and I found this channel called Kickin' Addiction. Shout out to that channel. And you
Kevin.
know what? Yes. And I know you know him because I saw you immediately because you commented like on every video. And there's this
Yeah.
little theme. Like the more I saw your channel, but I wanted to stay away because I'm like, I'm a guy and in recovery. I want to try to stick with guys. I don't want to be male female thing. So I tried to stay away from your channel. I tried, but it didn't work. So then then I
You
did
can't stay away from me, baby.
exactly. You Nicole's got it going on. If you're on maintenance drugs and you're feeling alone and you're struggling, man, this channel it has made me feel like I have a home. Mara has made me feel like I have a home. You are not alone. Like you do not have to be judged. And deep down inside in your conscience when you're doing right and when you're doing wrong. Your conscience is telling you the truth, whether you want to listen to it or not, you know. But damn, I just lost my point where I was going to go with that. Um,
You
oh,
saw
but
me
being,
commenting. Oh, I kept
yeah,
commenting on Kevin's channel. You know why I comment on his channel? Because I want to help him because he was always tapering so quickly and then
yes,
he would jump off and then he would get back on. And that's why, like, people get mad at me because I'm always trying to encourage to slow down because I
yeah,
see people trying to drop milligrams every week. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You haven't even stabilized at the dose you were at before. And you'll see I'm on every person's channel who's trying to taper because I want to encourage them to take it slow. And they get
that
so
is
mad at
so
me.
awesome. It's awesome though. You know what? And it's the truth, and that's kind of the issue that my wife and I are hitting right now, because I don't blame her. She has the opinion that I want to stretch my taper out as long as possible because that's the addict in me not wanting to let go of the drugs. Like at this point, like Suboxone has never really gave me a euphoric effect. Like it's a partial antagonist. Methadone when I was high up, like yeah, that would get me. Suboxone is not like that for me.
Not at all.
Um,
And that's the thing,
so
it's a misconception.
yeah,
People
so
don't
stretching it
understand, but
out, yeah. The reason that I don't want to taper fast is I don't want to be in withdrawal when I don't have to be. If I taper slow, it's not like I'm getting fucked up. It's just I'm not going to be in withdrawal. And like I said with the methadone, I did a nice slow taper and I felt no withdrawal. Um,
right.
so when everything came out and I was at 8 milligrams, I started dropping fast. And within 2 weeks, I was down to 4 milligrams, and then another 2 weeks I'm down to 2 milligrams. It was a nightmare, and that's why I got on YouTube because I'm like, I'm feeling friggin' terrible. Like I want to see what other people are doing with their tapers and how they're successful. So I saw Kickin' Addictions channel and I saw Nicole, and then I did Rewired Addiction, which is a cool channel too. But I saw Nicole again, and eventually I'm like, I got to check this girl's channel out. So I did, and then I'm this is where it's at. I'm telling you, if you are on maintenance drugs, you are not alone, you know, and this is the place that has felt like home to me. So, I joined your patronage, and, you know, it's been a couple of weeks, but man, it's a blessing because I have always felt alone in this, and not talking about it for 7 years, like telling no one, not a soul,
I
you
know.
know.
I can't even imagine what that must be like. Because here's the thing, Joe, you weren't doing anything wrong. You were on treatment and you were getting help that you needed. But that's the thing,
Mhm.
to feel like you have to hide that and to be ashamed of it, like you were stunting
Right.
your recovery growth. You weren't able to
Exactly.
grow in your recovery because
Exactly.
you had to keep it a secret. And so the best thing that could have ever happened was for your wife to find out. So that way you can grow in your recovery now, you
I
know?
know, and you know, we're like, it's a bumpy road right now in our marriage, but it's it's also like, it was funny when she found it. She was like, you know, I just found this. She asked me to leave the house when she found it, and I went and I stayed with my parents for a couple of weeks. But eventually, she was like, I realized that, like, you know, if we're gonna stay together, you have to ride it out here, and I want to see you go through your process. And she wanted to, you know, support me. You know, I cannot thank God enough for that. Um, dang, I lost my point of my what
Now
I
that
was
you're
gonna
down to
say.
2 milligrams, like you're going to
Hmm.
have to go slower now because you're down
Yes,
on the lower end. So you
yeah.
need to go
So,
down to 1.5 and stay there, and then for a
hmm,
month at least, and then go down to 1 and stay down there for a month, and then go down to 0.75 and stay, you know what I'm saying, like stay there so your body stabilizes at each drop.
yeah. Um, so that's what I realized. I tapered really fast, and it was friggin' miserable. You know, for that month when I was doing the rapid taper, just non I was just in a constant state of withdrawal. Um,
Yeah.
so I went to my doctor. I informed him exactly what was going on, and the advice that he gave to me, um, he said you should not drop a milligram. He said the typical timeline is 3 months. That's what he wanted. Like, if he could have his say, like, and he straight up told me, he was like, you can taper how you want. It's your body, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, my medical opinion to you is to do a milligram every 3 months. Um, and I've been on 2 milligrams for a month, and I still feel like crap. It's not as bad as it was, but he was like, your
That's
body's
because your
still trying.
body is catching up because you tapered so quickly at the beginning. So you're basically went from
Exactly.
8 to 2 in one jump. So now your body
Yeah.
has to catch back up. So you're needing to
Hmm.
stay at 2 for 90 days. That's what I do. I stay at each drop for 90 days because that's what
Yeah.
my doctor told me to do.
Yeah. So that's, now that I'm really in this lower amount, like, I want to be successful at this. I want to put myself in the best position to succeed, and I know what that's going to take. And if I'm in a constant state of withdrawal, like, it's only a matter of time before I start doing some crazy shit. And I I don't think anybody in my life wants that to happen. So I'm just I'm trying to listen to my doctor. My last doctor visit, it was friggin' awesome to go in there and get 4 milligram strips. Like, I was having, it's a pain to, when you start getting the lower milligrams, like, I dose twice a day. I take a milligram in the morning and a milligram at night. It sucks cutting up those 8 milligram strips in the smaller
Yeah.
doses. So just to get a 4 milligrams, like, I never thought I would see the day that I would get like a lower dose strip. Like, that was really cool.
Phew.
Another really cool thing was, so when I was lying to my wife, like, obviously, you know, all the equity that I built with her was friggin' shot, and she's not going to believe anything I say. But it was really cool to go to my doctor's and have him to print out 2 years of urine analysis, and to bring that home and to show her, like, I'm not
I've
screwing
been
around.
clean. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just taking this, and I'm taking it as it's prescribed, and it was like a really cool feeling. Like it's awesome to have her, you know, a part of my process. You know, like that was a big thing. Like we have a marriage and you're supposed to share everything with your partner, you know, and to not be able to let her know what was really going on to me, it was like heartbreaking to both of us. So now that we're like starting to get that back, it's it's a great feeling, you know, and just working a program is awesome. I quit
There's a
vaping
lot
a
of
month.
guys that go through the same thing. Like I have a guy that came on. I don't know if you saw the video, but he came on the other night, and his screen name is Fade Factor Corrales. He's probably in the chat right now, but he had this kind of a similar situation where, you know, his wife wasn't sure, and she was like, "I don't know. I don't think you should get on that." And he needed help. He needed support, and he just was able to obtain his legal prescription today and get cleared for his Suboxone treatment, and his wife is on board and is supporting him. And it's like we need our significant others to be there to support us and to cheer us on. And you know, it's like I feel like we're changing the perception of maintenance medication for real. I think that y'all, I don't think that a lot of people understand, like, this is a whole, like, movement over here on this channel. Like, we are changing lives, changing people's thinking. We are supporting people who have never felt like they've had support before. And I didn't even realize how big of a deal it was until just recently, when people are like messaging me and letting me know, like, you're helping, so we're helping people here. Like you sharing your story about being ashamed to tell your wife, and then now she knows. Like other people go through that same exact thing, you know, and they're going to watch this story and they're going to say, man, I need to tell my wife, or I need to tell my husband, you know, because I shouldn't be ashamed. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how many times I've had that conversation with myself trying to gather the courage to go and tell her, and I was always too much of a coward to swallow my pride and tell her. She had to find out, you know. Um, but you don't. It's 2020. It like things are changing so much. I really do believe that the perception of maintenance drugs is finally starting to come around. This country's been turned out by opiates, by the pharmaceutical companies, and then it's switching over to heroin, and now with the fentanyl, you know, things are changing so much that, you know, hopefully in a couple of years, there's going to be so many more programs and channels that are doing Mara, you know, but I just cannot thank you enough, Nicole, for I you work as hard on trying to help people probably just as much as anybody that I've met out there, you know. And it was really cool the day that I signed up to your patronage. You sent me a message and you were like, I need to talk to you. Give me a call. And I was talking to you in 10 minutes. That was freaking awesome. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that, you know. So keep doing your work, because I will tell you every day for the rest of my life, you are saving lives, girl. You know, so keep it up. Thank you.
It just means a lot to me to be able to help everybody. I want to do this, and I like to talk to you guys because I feel like people don't understand. Like, it's not, I don't just put up these videos because I'm like, yay, let's put up a video. Like, this is my life, and I want to help people to not feel like I felt, because I felt like I couldn't fit in anywhere. I've always felt like that. And then I really felt like that when I got on Suboxone. And I couldn't find anybody I felt like there's nobody out there that understood that I wanted to be sober and that I'm trying my best to do what I need to do. And I felt like every time I turned around and I tried to share that with somebody, people would tell me that I wasn't doing enough, and that I wasn't serious enough, and that I must not be willing, and I must not really love my family, and all this bullshit, you know? And so I want people to hear me. I want to connect with people. I don't want to just, you know, say it on my channel or text it to somebody on the computer. Like, I want to be like, hey, what's up? It's me. I said I was going to be here for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's serious. Like, and I do the best I can. Like, it's starting to get to the point where I'm like need reminders on my phone. Like, I got to check on this person. I got to do this.
Right.
I'm
You're
doing
starting to grow.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to keep up with everybody. It's hard, but it's worth it. It literally gives me life to talk to you guys and hear y'all's stories. And then, like, when you guys are like, that, it makes me, I can't help it. I just start crying because I'm just like, I just want you guys to help other people. When you can help somebody, I want you to pass it on to somebody else, because somebody helped me. And so all I'm doing is helping you guys because somebody else helped me, and that's all I want you to do is, like, when somebody's struggling or you see somebody in the comment section on the channel or on Facebook, and I see this all the time. People, I'm on Suboxone and I don't have any support, or I'm on Suboxone and my family judges me. I mean, that's your chance to jump in there and be like, hey, I've been there. I felt the same way, and let that person know that they're not alone and that they don't have to worry about feeling judged, and that they can come over here and hang out with us, because we have to keep on speaking up, so that way people that are too ashamed or too afraid to speak up, they will find us and know that they're here. So
exactly.
anyway, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad your wife found out. That's the best thing ever. I think it's
Right?
amazing.
Yeah,
Because now you're free.
exactly. I have that 4,000 pound gorilla off of my shoulders, and I'm just thankful that you gave me the opportunity to come on and share my story. I've never shared my story before. So I was nervous about that, but it's true. To anybody out there listening, to get, you have to give, so it doesn't, even if it has nothing to do with addiction, if you see somebody out there struggling and you're able to help that person, man. We need to spread love and not hate. Like, being, paying a lot more attention to YouTube, I see all the negative comments out there and stuff like that. And people that are like that, all external hate and love is really internal. So when somebody's
Yep.
dishing out hate, they're really hurting, So we just have to reach out and try to help as many people as we can. So listen, I gotta hop off. I need to go spend some time with my lovely wife. But
You did
thank you
so
so much
good.
for letting me share. Thank you guys for listening, and I love you all. All right.
We love you, Joe. Bye. Yay! She did so good, you guys. I'm so proud of you, Joe. Tell your wife that we are so proud of you and that we love you and that we are so glad that you can share your truth now and you don't have to be ashamed, or you guys can work through this together. And here's the thing, you guys, like, it's all, what's done is done, right? Joe can't change the past, but now he can be honest. And this is a lesson to be learned for everyone. It's always, the better thing to do is always to be honest. Okay? I know it's scary. I know you are afraid you're going to make people disappointed, or you're afraid they're going to judge you. Honesty is the best policy, So if you need help, if you're not being honest and you've been keeping a secret or a lie from your family members, you guys, and you're like, I can't do it, Nicole, I can't tell them, then call me and I'll tell them for you. Okay? We can have a conference call and we can do a video chat, and I can sit there with you guys and you guys can let your family members know what's going on, and I'll be there to mediate. Okay? But the best thing to do is to always just be 100% honest, you guys. So that way you can avoid hurting, because what's happening now is Joe hurt his wife. And so now he's having to rebuild that trust with her. And so that could have been avoided if we could have just been honest. You know what I'm saying? But what's done is done. All he can do now is go up from here. So I really hope that you guys could relate to that story. I know there's a couple of you guys in here that can relate to it because you've been through similar situations. So I was really excited to have Joe on tonight because his story is, it's not unheard of. So many people struggle with that shame, and there's nothing to be ashamed of, you guys. being on Suboxone does not mean that you're not serious about your recovery. It does not mean that you don't want to be sober. It does not mean that you're still getting high. All those are huge misconceptions about maintenance medication. Those are all lies. And I'll tell you, the devil is a lie. So, you guys, this is 2020, all right? And heroin and opiate addiction, it's not like any other addiction out there. And many, many times when opiate addicts get sober, they relapse because of that damn withdrawal with opiates. So, if you're somebody that's struggling and you have been unsuccessful at getting sober and you need support and help, maintenance medication could literally save your life. So don't count yourself out if you haven't tried it yet, because I'm telling you, I was one of those people who said, nope, I'm not going to get on Suboxone. Nope, I wouldn't, that's just trading addictions. I would say all these things, right? And it was because I was uneducated and ill-informed, and I was ignorant. And so now I'm educated. I know the facts. I can school anybody who wants to come here about Suboxone on those facts. So never be ashamed of needing that support, okay, and getting the extra help. That's right, Ian. Ian says it means you're kicking butt and you want freedom from the misery. Yes. It's not like it was in the 2000s. No, this is we are in 2020. There is so many things at our fingertips where we can get help. You do not have to struggle. You do not have to go through, fucking killer withdrawals and horrible pain to get to the other side of your recovery. You can get the help that you need and transition slowly and work your way up. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I loved Joe's a redhead and so is my husband. So when I see the little ginger beard, I just think of my husband when I see the little red facial hair. So y'all know how I feel about my little ginger snaps. So I love you guys. I love all of you so much. And it's a pleasure to be able to come on my channel and do these videos with you guys. It means more to me than you'll ever understand. Like, you'll never, ever be able to understand how much it helps me. I am so fortunate to have you guys and to be able to share my story and my life and give other people a platform to share their stories and their lives. And I enjoy it so much. I look forward to doing this with you guys in the evenings. And I look forward to sharing, my ups and downs and all arounds with you guys, because it helps me. It really, really does. And like I said to Joe, all I ask of you guys is when you get to a place where you can give back and you can help others, is to just pass it down. Pass it down and help somebody else. Okay? All right. I love you guys. That's right, Fade Factor. Why gamble your life with relapsing when you can take Suboxone and be safe? Exactly. That's right. Is your nephew's a little ginger snap? I love you too, Misty. I love all of you guys so much. And, I want you guys to know, like, as my channel grows, more people are coming in and I'm getting to know all you guys. But for everybody that's been here with me since day one, all of you guys are so important. We're just welcoming new people into the family as our family grows. And so if you're somebody like Misty, Sonia, Cindy, Merck, Sky, all the people that have been with me since my channel first began. And if I don't say your name, don't get upset. I want you guys to know that y'all are just as important to me as the new people are. And that if you're somebody who I haven't gotten to talk to, in a couple of weeks or a month, and you have my cell phone number, text me, call me. It's getting to the point where I can't remember to call everybody anymore. So you got to call me, okay, guys, because I got a lot of people on my list nowadays. So if you're somebody who you're like, damn, I haven't talked to Nicole in forever, I miss her, I want to talk to her, you have to pick up the phone and call me. I cannot read your minds. There's 5,000 of y'all's minds here now. And so it's not like when we first started out and we only had a 50 or 100 people. Back then, I could talk to y'all all week long and had no problem remembering who I was talking to. Now I can't. I have to write cheat sheet notes on my hands. so that way I don't forget. And I have to set calendar alarms so that way I know and I have everything in order. So, what did they say? A closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if you're somebody who's like, I need attention, I haven't got to talk to Nicole, you need to call me, okay? Text me or call me. That's right. A closed mouth doesn't get fed because it's closed. Exactly, Nate. See, Nate's telling it like it is because it's closed. So 5,110. There you go. So, squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if you're not squeaking, if you're not making it, if you're not saying anything, then I'm going to assume that you are okay and that you got all of this stuff taken care of. So you got to get on me and stay on me, okay? All right, guys. All right. I love you all. Nate's got his best friend over. His name is Brooks. Brooks is a ginger too. All these gingers in my life. And they have been just being crazy. Y'all have heard them the whole time behind me. Okay, so Corrales, I'm going to send you the link. I'm going to text you the link to the chat. You guys, just so everybody knows, Fade Factor Corrales just joined Patreon, so he's going to be joining the chat. So y'all welcome him with open arms. Freya, I'm calling you right now when I end this live stream because I just seen your message here. So yeah, anybody that has that wants to join Patreon, let me go ahead and let y'all know it's $2 a month. Nothing serious. I'm not breaking the bank over here, but you get to be in there with all of us. So let me get the boom chakalaka. Okay, there's that link. And I love you guys. Like I said, Freya, I'm calling you. Corrales, I'm texting you the link. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for our next guest speaker. So tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Big Mat Fitness and Viking Fitness. I think they're going to come on together. And then Saturday night, we have Prison POV. And then Sunday night, we got Brittany and Heath. So we got a full schedule all week long, y'all, so y'all won't have no downtime. I expect to see every one of y'all here tomorrow night at 7. I'm taking attendance. For those of you guys that don't show up, you will be getting detention. Okay, enough. I love you guys. Good night.